Here's how this works. Water, salt, and pepper, those are freebies. Your pantry, it better have flour, oil, vinegar, mustard, and garlic. Beyond that, you'll only need 5 more ingredients and 25 minutes to put an entree or entire meal on the table. So, shop, set the clock, and let's dish out. Alright, our 5 ingredients are some pork tenderloin, a bell pepper, a peach, some unsalted butter, and finally a little bit of chicken stock. Alright, let's get to work. We're going to go ahead and dice this bell pepper into a relatively fine dice because we want it to cook nice and quickly. I'll go ahead and mention you could use other vegetables, other fruit for this. This is kind of like my take on an Americanized sweet and sour pork. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and cut our peach in half and remove the pit because nobody wants to eat that. Just use a spoon and go ahead and scrape that all out of the middle and toss it aside. And then we're going to go ahead and slice our peach into relatively thin slices. You might want to set a few of those aside for garnish as well. And then once you've got it sliced, we'll go ahead and dice it again into bite-sized pieces. For our pork, you can take the little step here of removing any silver skin, as that's going to make it difficult to flatten and will not taste very good. But if you don't do this, it is not going to be the end of the world. Once you've got your silver skin removed, we'll go ahead and slice this into roughly 1.5 inch thick pieces. Again, this is a pork tenderloin, very different from a pork loin. Well, not very different, but more tender and a little bit more narrow. Once you've got those medallions, you want to go ahead and use your palm to flatten them out to a certain extent, about 1 inch thick, and then use a wine bottle, meat mallet, or a frying pan to flatten those out pretty thinly. We want them to be less than 1/2 inch thick so they cook very, very quickly. Just make some glancing blows with a meat mallet or hard object until you get it nice and thin to a little cutlet and set that aside. We'll go ahead and season our pork up with some fresh cracked pepper and a generous pinch of salt. And then we will just use some plain old flour from the pantry. And I'm telling you, we're going to lean on our pantry pretty heavily today to dredge those pork cutlets. Once you've got them very thoroughly coated, we're going to get some olive oil into a skillet over medium-high heat and add a couple cutlets at a time, as many as you can fit without overcrowding the pan. And cook those out for about 2 to 3 minutes on the first side until they're just very lightly browned and you can see some juices pushing up through the cutlet. These are not going to get dark brown in the amount of time that we're going to cook them, but we do want to get a nice little crust on the outside. Once we've accomplished that, we'll go ahead and set this aside to rest. Cook your remaining cutlets. They're only going to take 3 to 4 minutes each. And once that's done, toss your peppers and peaches into your skillet, again over medium-high heat. Season with salt and pepper. Crush in 1 clove of garlic, of course from our pantry, and give that a stir until that garlic is nice and fragrant and the peppers and peaches are just starting to soften. At that point, we'll add in 2 tablespoons of our unsalted cold butter, sprinkle in a tablespoon of flour from the pantry, and as that butter melts, we'll stir it in to incorporate the flour until it is nice and nutty smelling and all the flour is dissolved. At this point, we'll splash in 8 ounces or 1 cup of chicken stock and bring that up to a simmer over medium-high heat. That's going to thicken nicely. We're going to splash in 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 1 tablespoon of mustard, both from our pantry. That's going to get that nice sweet and sour and savory flavor note we're looking for. Add your pork cutlets back in, reduce the heat to low, and just cook those through for 1 to 2 minutes or until they are nice and warm and that sauce is beautifully thickened. I'm serving this up over some rice pilaf, but some noodles or mashed potatoes would be delightful as well, or you could just have this on its own as a nice protein-packed meal. Plate up a cutlet, some of your sauce, peaches and peppers, maybe some fresh peaches for garnish, and this being dishing out a nice little sprinkle of green onions for garnish and for the thumbnail. There you are, your pork cutlet with peaches and peppers. Because we cooked that pork so quickly, it is super juicy, and because it is pork tenderloin, it is, well, super tender. It's succulent, it is really tasty, almost like a cross between a chicken breast and filet mignon. I am a sucker for pork tenderloin, especially with a nice savory sauce. Oh, peach overboard. That sauce has those delightfully sweet, fresh peaches, the nice savoriness from the peppers, sweet and sour and savory. It's got everything you could hope for in one bite in less than 25 minutes. I hope you'll give it a try. As always, thanks for watching. Get out of here and go make something delicious.